Believe it or not, Maine has been something of a fashion capital over the last 200 years or so. Some of those famous styles have been preserved by the Maine Historical Society and are now on display as part of an exhibit called Northern Threads.
The first part, which we shared with you back in March, featured fashion from as far back as 1780 all the way through the late 1800s. This latest exhibit showcases styles from 1890 to 1980 and even includes some pretty rare pieces. Take a look.
This exhibit really highlights the Westbrook College collection in modern Maine, and it really speaks to what people wore. And I think a lot of people will really be able to resonate and to identify with this show because there's a lot of pieces on display that are in our lifetime. The show is really divided into a series of vignettes, which is similar structure that we had in part one. And so our vignettes are turn of the century, which is a strength of the collection, sort of that 1890s to about 1910. The white is a Portland High School graduation dress, and then the black one here on the end was locally made by Justina Thomas, who was a Portland dressmaker. So each one of these vignettes will have those kinds of stories associated with them. We have Designed with Style that talks about evening wear, whether it's couture gowns like the green one here in the center, or dressmaker made like the purple one, talking about evening wear, party wear, cocktail dresses, and then Maine Outdoors. So obviously you're going to do Maine Outdoor, sort of Maine outdoor chic, and pieces that really kind of speak to that aspect of Maine history. Girl Scouts, aviators, hunting and fishing, that sort of thing. It's very classic in design. I mean, a lot of the pieces that you see here, you could, like the shirt jacks, people would wear that today. There's not really much has changed, really speaks to the classic thing. I mean, those were Abercrombie and Fitch pants. So it's something that people I think will really resonate with, regardless being from the 20s or the 1950s. We have fur in fashion. So this is a companion to the fur trade piece that we did for part one, but this is about fashion furs and Maine's role in farming animals for the purpose of fashion. So fox farms were really a lucrative aspect of the Maine economy in the 1920s and 30s. As you turn the corner here, we have fashion in bridal and formal wear, probably most notably this great powder blue tuxedo and pink evening gown with a little disco light for ambiance, and then of course bridal wear, which is an important part of the collection and probably is the most likely ensemble or garment to be saved or preserved in a family collection. We have women in the war and women at work. So we've got fashions from the World War and women entering the workforce and sort of the simultaneous relationship between women coming into the workforce and the World War I and eventually World War II and sort of the relationships between those. And then this great piece on the end that we're actively fundraising to purchase, which is a rare surviving khaki field tunic from the Spanish-American War. Those are exceedingly rare. So there's only one other known example in a museum collection in the US at this time. It came from a soldier named Roy Fernald, who was from Winterport, Maine. His father is Albert Fernald, who was a Medal of Honor recipient during the Civil War in the famous 20th Maine. And both of their uniforms came up for sale, and we're actively fundraising to try to purchase both of those. And his father was a tailor and we think made his own uniform, so it's pretty exciting. And then lastly, we have silhouettes in sequence, which is similar to the structure that we had in the first part. And this goes from about 1890 through the late 1970s and the evolution of mostly women's fashions, because that's really where you'll see the large transition of styles. But this great child's velvet ensemble here, and we've got some teenagers' outfits, a leisure suit's great, and a little polyester Peter Pan collar. So lots of synthetics, glamour pajamas, and everything sort of in between.
Gotta get myself some glamour pajamas.
I would have guessed that you already had a closet full of them.
Part two of the Maine Historical Society's Northern Threads exhibit will be on display through the end of the year. You can find more information on our website.